Sit back, take a deep breath, and let your mind drift to a world beyond our own. Join us as we embark on an extraordinary journey with Sean, a man who assists an alien race in their time of need. Forced to leave their home planet, they find refuge on Earth, but their arrival brings mystery, wonder, and unexpected challenges. Prepare for a story of adventure and intrigue that will ignite your imagination. And now, let's welcome John, who will guide you through this captivating tale.
Sean was inspecting the house he had just purchased in Urbano, Italy. No one had lived in the home for about 20 years. The house was approximately 200 years old, made of stone. It was 2 stories with a large kitchen and 3 spacious bedrooms. What was somewhat odd about the house was that it was built into the side of a large hill with a rock overhang, which meant there wasn't a back door, only exterior doors on the sides of the house. The house required numerous repairs and upgrades, including plumbing and electrical work. Sean had already hired local companies and handymen to start the repairs. However, he knew that in Italy, these things take time, and he was okay with that. Sean had been in military intelligence for 20 years and retired a couple of years ago to focus his full attention on his first love, writing. His time in the intelligence world had inspired numerous books, and many were on the bestseller list. He bought this house so he could have a quiet place to do his writing and have a retreat from New York for the sake of his sanity. Sean was walking through the house and opened the door to the basement to see what other repairs might be needed. He walked down the stairs and switched on a light. There were miscellaneous items scattered around the basement, with a workbench on one wall and a large oak shelving unit against the other wall. Sean walked to the oak shelves to take a closer look. It looked like it was in perfect shape. Oddly, it seemed to be built into the stone basement wall. He ran his hand over the side of the unit and looked to see how it was attached. He noticed 3 industrial-sized hinges like you would see on a very heavy door. Then he noticed the scratches on the stone floor, where it looked like the whole unit would open like a door. Sean investigated the other side of the unit and saw a large latch flush with the wood. He gave a hard tug on the handle. The unit moved just a small amount. With another tug, it moved a little more. What the heck is behind this? Maybe it's an old wine cellar, he thought. Sean continued to pull on the latch until he was able to get both hands on the back of the unit. Then he started pulling the unit open. Sean got it open enough to be able to fit his body through. But he thought he would give it one more hard pull, and with that, the unit easily swung open. All Sean could see in the opening was darkness. I need a flashlight, he thought. He looked around the basement and went to look at the large workbench. There were several drawers, most of which contained old tools. In the last drawer, he found a small flashlight. He flicked the switch, and the light came on. However, the light was very dim. This flashlight needed batteries, Sean thought. He drove to the nearest shop, picked up some batteries for the small flashlight, and picked up a large flashlight just to be safe. As he was driving back to the house, he was wondering what this underground space could be. Maybe an old bomb shelter or root cellar. Back at the house, he returned to the basement with the large new flashlight. He shined the light into the darkness and saw descending stairs. They looked old, worn, and made of stone. He made his way down cautiously at about 15 feet below the surface. He could hear running water. At the end of the stairs, there was a stone platform about 12 feet wide and 10 feet deep. It looked like a dock. Looking around at the ceiling and walls, it looked like a natural cave with a gently flowing underground river, approximately 10 feet wide. He couldn't tell how deep the river was due to the darkness. Then, moving the flashlight to the right, he couldn't believe what he was seeing. A small wooden boat with 2 oars tied up to the platform. This river must go somewhere, coming out above ground at some point, or why would there be a boat here? The wooden boat seemed fairly sturdy, with no water in the bottom. It's still early in the day, he thought. I'll just take the boat downstream for a little bit. He stepped into the boat and let the river slowly take him along for the ride. He pointed the flashlight ahead, but it was so dark that he couldn't see very much ahead of him. He looked at his phone to see what time it was. He had been in the boat for about 15 minutes. I think I'll turn back, he said to himself. Since I'll have to row, it will take longer to get back. As he started to turn the boat around, he thought he could hear a sound like some type of machinery. He stopped and listened, and it was coming from downriver. He decided to continue down the river to see if he could find out what it was. He continued down the river for about 5 minutes. The sound did grow a little louder, but not much. Soon, he came to what looked like the end of the cave. To the right was a sandy shore. The river must continue further underground from here, he thought, somewhat puzzled. He headed for the shore. Putting up onto the shore, he saw up ahead a trail leading further into the cave. Following the trail for nearly 100 yards, he approached a huge iron door. It reminded him of the type of nuclear blast doors used at military installations, but not as thick, he surmised. What was peculiar about this door was that it had a speakeasy viewing door. Sean laughed. This must have been an old hideout during the war. That made perfect sense to him. He shined the flashlight around to see if there were any other interesting artifacts. He spotted a long chain with a handle like they used in the old days as a doorbell. This is too funny. He thought I could write a book about this, he mused. Then, just for fun, he pulled on the chain. Then he heard some footsteps on the other side of the door. Sean stepped back a little in surprise. The speakeasy viewing door opened, and a face appeared, but a face like he had never seen before. It frightened him so much that he stumbled back, tripping, falling backward, hitting his head on a rock. Everything went black.
If you're enjoying this tale, please consider liking the video and subscribing to support my small channel. It really helps. Now, let's dive back into the story.
Sean came to with a very bad pain in the back of his head. It took a couple of minutes to remember what happened. He looked around the bedroom, nestled inside a natural cave. The walls are smooth, textured stone, softly illuminated by warm, amber lighting from lanterns hanging on rustic hooks. The ceiling has gentle curves, giving the space an enveloped, intimate feeling. He lay in the center of a large, plush bed with an overstuffed duvet in earthy tones, rich browns, soft greens, and muted oranges. The bed frame is made of rough-hewn wood. "Hello," Sean yelled. "Hello, is anyone there?" He tried to get up, but dizziness and nausea hit him, making him lay back down. He then heard footsteps. It looked like a woman in a long red dress walking towards him in the dim light. When she came closer, he drew in a breath and gulped. "Who or what are you?" he said, "and where the hell am I?" His whole body started to shake. "It's okay, I'm not going to hurt you," she said, in a strange English accent. "Where am I?" he said with a shaky voice. "My name is Alice," she said in a soft voice. "No one here will hurt you. The guard surprised you, and you fell and hit your head. The guard and some of the other men brought you here. You have a concussion, which means you need to rest." "Is it the concussion that makes you look so strange?" Sean asked. What Sean saw was something that looked like a human but had unusual characteristics. Large green eyes with vertical pupils, a narrow face, light blue-gray hair, long limbs, and tall for a woman. "What you are seeing is correct," Alice said. "What is your name?" "Sean Morgan," he replied. "I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend you," But you look so strange. Is it a genetic issue? He asked sincerely. In a way, yes, she said with a smile. If I tell you a little about the people who live here, will you promise to get some rest? You are safe here, she said. Are you thirsty or hungry? I could use some water, Sean said. Of course, she said. The woman reached into her dress pocket and took out what looked like a cell phone. Pressing a few buttons, she said, Elodie, could you please bring some water for our guest? Thank you, she said, then put the phone back in her pocket. Shortly, a woman came into the room with a glass of water, handing the glass to Sean. Sean took the glass, thanking her. She had the same characteristics as Alice, but different. The way people look different from one another. Sean drank the water, and he laid back down on the bed. Okay, he said, I would like to hear an explanation about you and this cave. We are called Iathrians. Our home planet, Valathea, was a world of soft twilight, where the pale light of two suns cast shadows over silver forests and crystalline seas. The air was cool, and the landscape glowed with a faint iridescence, a reflection of the planet's serene beauty. For millennia, we lived in harmony with our world, our advanced technology blending seamlessly with nature. But even in the peace, Iathrians had known that one of our suns, the ancient red dwarf they called Mahalan, was nearing its death, and when it went nova, Valathea would burn. As Sean listened to Alice, he couldn't keep his eyelids open, and sleep overtook him. Alice had ordered some mild medication to be added to the water to relax Sean and help him get the rest he needed. Sean woke with a start about 8 hours later. He saw a woman sitting in a chair across the room from him. He raised onto his elbows and asked the woman if he could speak with Alice. She pulled a communicator from her pocket and summoned Alice. The woman left the room. When Alice entered the room, Sean was sitting at the edge of the bed. Are you feeling better? She asked. Yes, he said. You put something in the water, didn't you? He said, with some anger in his voice. I did, Alice said. You needed rest, and you were under a lot of stress. Well, don't do that again, Sean said. All right, she said. Would you like something to eat? Yes, he said, and I would like to get out of this room. Come, I will show you around. We'll go to the communal eating area. We are vegetarians, but I think you will enjoy the food. We do live in Italy, after all, she said with a smile. As Alice guided Sean through the winding tunnels of the Iathrian cave complex, he couldn't help but marvel at the alien architecture. The walls were smooth and faintly glowing, illuminated by bioluminescent plants that thrived in the darkness. The air was cool, carrying a slight hum as if the cave itself was alive with the soft sounds of advanced technology blended with nature. Along the walls, intricate geometric patterns were carved, almost like a written language. A testament to the thousands of years the Iathrians had lived in secret beneath the earth. The ceilings arched high above, supported by sleek, metallic columns that seemed to fuse with the stone itself. As they walked, Sean passed by Iathrians, going about their daily tasks. Some carried bundles of strange equipment, others were tending to glowing flora in carefully cultivated patches, and a few even floated, suspended by anti-gravity platforms. They eventually reached the communal eating area, a vast open space that resembled an underground garden. The floor was made of polished stone, almost like marble, but interspersed with patches of soft, moss-like material where the Iathrians sat. Above, shimmering lights, soft blue and green, cast a peaceful glow over the room. Long tables stretched out in all directions, and at each table groups of Iathrians were gathered, eating and talking in their musical, flowing language. The food they shared was familiar to Sean. Vegetables like tomatoes, cucumber, and lettuces, as well as fruits like strawberries, apples, and grapes. Bowls of thick, nutrient-rich paste, probably made from nuts or beans, and thin, wafer-like bread made from whole grains. Alice led Sean to one of the tables. The Iathrians at the table looked up and greeted her with gentle nods, their large green or blue eyes glimmering in the soft light. As Sean sat down, he noticed the atmosphere was warm and communal, a stark contrast to the technological marvels around him. Despite their alien nature, the Iathrians seemed relaxed, even content. As they shared meals and conversations, a close-knit society thriving in their hidden refuge. Sean looked around, then turned to Alice. He said, "The people don't seem interested that I'm here. They all have been informed that you are here. They are aware that they live on Earth with humans. We don't want you to be overwhelmed," she said. A young man came over with a platter of fruits, nuts, vegetables, cheese, and flatbreads. A pitcher of water, plates, and glasses. "This looks good," he said. Then, placing food on the plate, he began eating. As Sean ate his food, he said, "I'm surprised that you can eat food that grows on Earth. Most of us were able to adapt over the thousands of years we have been here. But not all. Many became ill and died," Alice said with sadness. "Please, Alice, tell me how your species came to be on Earth. It doesn't seem like a choice that your people made," he said. Alice started in a soft voice, hundreds of years before the inevitable destruction. The Iathrian scientists predicted Mahalan's demise with chilling accuracy. Our ancestors had begun preparations long before, building colossal spaceships capable of carrying thousands across the stars. The entire civilization united, dedicating resources to the project. Over time, their once thriving cities emptied as the majority of the population left on one of the thousands of ships, each heading in different directions, hoping to find a habitable planet. Those who remained behind chose to stay out of loyalty to their world, determined to witness Valathia's last moments under the fading glow of Malong Dot, as the red dwarf finally grew unstable, sending pulses of deadly energy across the sky. The last ship departed. The Iathrians aboard gazed at their dying planet through the viewing ports, their hearts heavy with loss, but filled with hope for new beginnings. Their journey was one of survival, but also a quest to preserve the memory of Valathia's twilight beauty, as they sought a new home among the stars. Around 10,000 years ago, a great disaster befell our ship as it navigated the chaotic edges of the Milky Way. Its trajectory became unstable after encountering an unexpected field of cosmic debris. The ship, carrying 20,000 Iathrians, crashed violently into this planet, what would later be known as Earth, near the rolling hills of present-day Urbino, Italy. The impact was catastrophic, and only 5,000 of the Iathrians survived. The survivors, battered but resilient, crawled from the wreckage and immediately began salvaging what they could from the twisted remains of their vessel. With their advanced technology in ruins, they adapted quickly, using the few tools and machinery they had saved. Our ancestors took refuge in the cool depths of this nearby cave, hidden beneath the dense forests and hills. Over the centuries, they hollowed out and expanded the cave system, creating a secret underground sanctuary far from human sight. We remained isolated, our pale white skin and large eyes well suited for the darkness of our subterranean refuge. You see, high UV rays are dangerous to our DNA. So, we have lived here while the outside world evolved. Now, in 2024, we still live beneath the hills. Our numbers have dwindled, but we keep our reproduction rate under control. We have observed human technology evolve over the millennium. Our technology still functions but is limited after millennia of use. Occasionally, we venture out at night with eyes perfect for seeing in the dark, observing the modern world in silence, hoping that one day humans may advance enough to help us build a ship or find another way to continue our journey to find a planet suited to us. As they finished their meal, a man approached them. He was tall, Sean thought, maybe somewhere near 7 feet, with the same features as Alice. However, the man had blue eyes and shoulder-length grey-white hair. Sean, I would like to introduce Silas. He is the head of our governing council, Alice said. Silas, this is Sean Morgan. It's nice to meet you, Sean, said Silas, holding out his hand for Sean to shake. It's a pleasure to meet you, Silas, Sean said, shaking Silas' hand. How did you happen to come upon us? Silas asked Sean. Sean explained that he is a writer, and he purchased the house as a retreat to get away at times from New York to focus on his writing projects. The seller said that the house had been vacant for about 20 years. I found the door in the basement and was curious about where the river went. I thought the river would come out above ground at some point, and I ended up here. Yes, said Silas. The previous couple lived in the house for about 50 years. We knew them well. Really, said Sean, surprised. I'll start at the beginning, Silas said. At the end of World War II, everything changed for us. 3 American soldiers, GIs, stumbled upon our hidden entrance while scouting the hills of Urbana. At first, we feared the worst, but after some initial panic, we managed to communicate our peaceful intentions. They were curious, but also wary of us. Despite our appearance and advanced technology, we were able to explain our plight. How we had been stranded here for thousands of years, watching but never interfering with human society. It was then that we made a pact, one that still holds today. They gestured for Sean to follow them as they walked through a corridor filled with historical relics, images, and holograms depicting the early years of their time on Earth. Silas continued. Through that agreement with those first soldiers, and later with the military authorities, we struck deals with the United States, France, Germany, Italy, Canada, and others. They agreed to keep our existence a secret in exchange for occasional technology sharing and information that could help improve human life. But we had to ensure that our presence would never be publicly known. The reasons are many. Sean frowned as they entered a quieter room filled with ancient alien artifacts and old maps of Valathia. Alice said, revealing our existence could destabilize human society. Imagine the fear and chaos it would cause. The revelation that an advanced alien race had been living beneath the earth for millennia would challenge every major political, religious, and social institution. It could lead to mass panic, protests, and even violent uprisings. Many people would fear we were invaders or a threat. Governments would feel compelled to militarize against us, leading to unnecessary conflict. She paused before adding, not only that, but there are those who would exploit us or try to. With our technology in the wrong hands, global power balances could shift drastically, possibly leading to new arms races or wars. And then there's the biological risk. We've evolved to be resistant to Earth's viruses and bacteria over time, but it wasn't always this way. Early in our settlement here, many of us died from diseases brought by humans and animals. If our species were to be exposed on a large scale, we could suffer again. Likewise, there's a risk we might unintentionally introduce something to humans that your immune systems couldn't handle. They stopped in front of a large, translucent screen showing a map of Earth with glowing dots. Silas explained, "This is why we chose to stay hidden. We've managed to live alongside humanity peacefully for so long, and the risk of discovery would undo that delicate balance. For the safety of both our species, secrecy is our greatest protection." The couple that lived in the house met with the military authorities at the time and agreed not to disclose our existence, said Alice. Alice's expression grew tense as she led Sean deeper into the heart of the cave complex, where the Iathrians' most advanced equipment hummed quietly. "We face a new crisis," she said, her voice low. "Our technology, our entire survival on this planet, is dependent on uranium and plutonium. These elements power our systems, from life support to our defenses, and most critically, they are necessary to maintain the long-range communication beacons that allow us to stay in contact with our scattered fleet. Without them, we will be cut off from the others forever." Sean frowned, following her into a room filled with alien technologies, strange, luminous consoles, and crystalline devices that pulsed faintly with energy. "And the problem?" he asked. "Recently, leaks have surfaced about the US possessing alien spacecraft and biological material. Whistleblowers are claiming the government has hidden this from the public for years. Because of the heightened scrutiny and global attention, the top-secret team we've been working with, the ones who know about us and coordinate our supply chain, are now afraid to provide us with the uranium and plutonium we need. They fear the increased public attention might lead to exposure. If we don't get the materials soon, our systems will fail. Our existence here, everything we've built, will be at risk." Sean took a deep breath, considering the gravity of the situation. "I worked in military intelligence for 20 years. Maybe I could meet with your team and convince them to give you what you need." Alice nodded, her green eyes steady on him. "That would be generous of you, but it won't be easy. These are powerful individuals, and they're operating under extreme pressure. The decision is out of their hands. They fear exposure and retaliation if the truth comes out. There is a password we use with the team that may help you get access to them. The words are Mahalan, Red Dwarf," she said. "Yes, that might be a great help," Sean said. He paced for a moment, thinking. He knew the top-secret team operated in the shadows, hidden beneath layers of bureaucracy and security. But he had connections, people he'd worked with during his time in military intelligence. After a moment, he turned to Alice, saying, "If I can get the meeting, but negotiation is going to be tricky. They won't budge without something in return." Alice crossed her arms, her expression thoughtful. "We can offer advanced technology, of course, but that's always risky. We've been careful not to hand over anything that could disrupt human development too drastically. And besides, the leaks have made them cautious about using anything of ours right now." Sean nodded, his mind racing. "I'll need to convince them that this is in their best interest. Maybe we can provide solutions to some of their most pressing concerns, clean energy, medical advancements. Something that's both subtle and useful, without raising flags. If I can frame this as a cooperative venture, they might be more open." Alice's eyes brightened. "There are some smaller innovations we've been holding back. Safer nuclear energy solutions, materials that can revolutionize medical treatments. They're not weapons, but they could shift things for the better without drawing too much attention." Sean nodded. "That's what I'll pitch. We'll offer them something that can solve their problems while keeping us supplied. They have to see this as mutually beneficial. I'll reach out to my contacts and set up the meeting, but once I'm in the room, it'll be on me to make them see that this is the only path forward for both our species." Alice placed a hand on his shoulder, her touch light but firm. We trust you, Sean. If anyone can negotiate this, it's you. Our survival depends on it. Sean glanced at the technology around him, understanding the weight of what was at stake. I won't let you down. I'll make sure you get what you need. With that, he turned, mind already working on how to navigate the labyrinth of secrecy and power to save his alien friends and, perhaps, in doing so, ensure the future of both their worlds. As Sean made his way back to the house, he was considering who to call first. He first thought of Brian, who had great contacts. Next, he thought of Natalie, who had been his partner in military intelligence. He decided on Natalie because he could trust her implicitly. He called Natalie as soon as he got back to the house. He told her that he had discovered something very important, but could not discuss it on the phone, and that he was flying back to New York tomorrow. When he arrived back in New York, he took an Uber to Natalie's townhouse. She greeted him with a big hug. "Long time no see, stranger. What have you, or what are you up to?" Natalie said with a laugh. "Natalie, I think we both are going to need a large glass of wine for this one," Sean said. "Wow, it's that serious." "I will be right back," she said. She came back with 2 glasses of lovely red wine, and they sat on the couch. "Natalie, what I'm about to tell you, you can't tell anyone. You have to promise me," he said in a serious tone. "My God, Sean, you are scaring me," she said. "I'm sorry," Sean said. "I don't mean to." "Let me explain." They sat on the couch, and Sean described everything that had happened to him in Italy. Natalie leaned back. "You better not be joking with me," Natalie said. "I'm serious," he said. "I need the connections you have with the top secret military intelligence that may have a connection with the team that's doing the investigation on UAPs in coordination with the Pentagon. I think a better way of going about this," Natalie said, "is to get in touch with the whistleblower Arbor Wilder. He will have direct connections with those you need to talk to." "Hey, it's late. Can we tackle this in the morning?" she asked. "Sure," he said. "I need to sleep on all this, anyway." She asked, "Can you stay the night?" "You bet," he said with a smile. In the morning, after some searching for Arbor Wilder's cell number, Natalie found it on one of the top-secret databases she had access to. She dialed the number, and to her surprise, he answered. She told him who she was, and gave him enough information about her top-secret clearance and her job at military intelligence to convince him she was legitimate. She told him that Sean Morgan wanted to meet with him on a very sensitive matter concerning the UAP investigation. Arbor asked to speak to Sean. Natalie handed Sean her phone. "Hello, Sean," said Arbor. "Yes, Arbor, I'm here," Sean said. "Where would you like to meet?" Arbor asked. "I'm in Colorado Springs." "I can come to Colorado Springs," Sean said. "But we need to meet where there are no cameras, and we can't have cell phones." "If you're agreeable," Sean said. "That sounds reasonable," Arbor said. "Let's meet at the 7 Bridges Trail at 7 a.m. on the 24th. "Agreed," said Sean. Sean met Arbor at the trailhead at 7 a.m. They shook hands and sized each other up. They agreed to pat each other down for any electronics. "Let's go for a walk," said Sean. "What I'm going to tell you can't repeat to anyone else, because it's a matter of life and death. Of course, I couldn't stop you. I just have to trust you. However, if this matter would come to light, it would put an entire civilization in great danger. I hope your good judgment will help you make the right decision." "All right, Sean, I'm listening," said Arbor, as they walked down the trail. Sean told Arbor about his discovery in Italy and explained the Iathrians' agreement with the Allied nations. He spelled out the issues that the Iathrians are having with obtaining the uranium-235 and plutonium that they use for the power of their systems, from life support to defenses. "It makes perfect sense," said Arba. "That is why the secret is so absolute. I can get you in touch with a couple of people, but I can't guarantee they will deal with you. Tell them I know the password that the Iathrians use to communicate with them," Sean said. "I will make some calls. I will be in touch with you one way or the other," Arba said. The men shook hands and then went their separate ways. Sean hung out in Colorado Springs for a couple of days. He was getting somewhat concerned that he wouldn't be hearing from Arba at all. The call came about 1 in the morning, waking Sean out of a sound sleep. "Sorry to call so late," said Arba, "but I just got the call myself. Military security will meet you at the Colorado Springs Municipal Airport at 11 p.m. However, you must agree to wear a blindfold and sound-canceling headphones." "Tell them I agree," said Sean, "and I'll be there." "I'll let them know," said Arba, and hung up. At the airport lobby, Sean met 2 men in suits. No one introduced themselves. They told Sean to follow them. They led him to a private jet, sitting on the tarmac with the engines running. Once Sean was seated, one of the men handed him a blindfold and sound-canceling headphones. He told Sean that if he removed them at any time, he would be arrested. "Someone will remove them when it's time," he was told. When the jet landed, 2 men escorted him off the plane, which was difficult because he couldn't see or hear. He stumbled a few times. Then he knew he was in an elevator for a while. After a short walk, they sat him in a chair at a table, and then, to his surprise, someone handcuffed him to the table. Sean was anxious and scared. Someone took off the headphones and blindfold. The man sitting on the other side of the table was wearing a full-face ski mask, and so were the other men in the room. The man asked, "What is the password?" Sean answered, "Mahalan, Red Dwarf." The man sat back in his chair, folding his arms. "Tell me how you know this," the man said. Sean told the man the story of his encounter with the Iathrians and their need for the uranium-235 and plutonium. "We are aware of their need for the fuel," said the man. "I'm sure you understand there has been great pressure and inquiries regarding our group. At this time, it would be a great risk moving this kind of material." "Yes," said Sean. "I'm aware of what is going on in the UFO or UPA communities. However, I think we can devise a strategy to move the material without raising suspicion. As I told you, the house that accesses the Iathrians is in great need of repairs. There will be a lot of construction happening at the house over the next several months, and I don't think there would be any questions raised if a few extra trucks came and went on the property. I own 5 acres, 2.02 hectares. There are no other homes nearby," Sean continued. "The offers from the Iathrians are ideas for safer nuclear energy solutions and maybe materials that can revolutionize medical treatments. The team will communicate with Iathrians," the man said. "If there is an agreement, you will be informed." After that, a man came over to Sean, placing the blindfold and headphones on him, uncuffed him, and 2 men led him away. He flew back to New York, to Natalie's place. He told her of his encounter with the men in black. They both laughed. "So, it's true what they say about the men in black," she said, smiling. He returned to Italy the next day. He met with the Iathrians. They told him they had a meeting with the team and agreed to the terms. "They will contact you when the shipments will be arriving." Several years have passed since Sean met the Iathrians. He has become good friends with them and has learned about their culture and history. He has also tried to learn some words and phrases in the Iathrian language, much to everyone's amusement. The end. Thank you for listening to the tale of Sean and the Iotharians. Peace be with you.
Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed the story and that it sparked your imagination. If you'd like to hear more adventures and relaxing tales, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more soothing content. And feel free to leave a comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts or suggestions for future stories. Until next time, stay relaxed and keep dreaming.